What's happening, everybody? It's Ryan. Welcome to the channel and welcome to another exciting episode of Car Talk Friday. So this was a topic I wanted to talk about a couple weeks ago, but at the time I was putting this thing together, Cameron had come to me and said that she had an interest in doing her very first episode of Cam's Corner. If you haven't seen that, the link is here. It's actually really pretty good, so check it out. But I wanted to revisit a conversation that I was interested in having, and that is about home automation. I had gotten some questions about my home automation, and I just wanted to talk about that briefly. So let's get into it. So as I'm sure you know, I'm highly interested and invested in home automation. Of course, I take off the ND filter and now I've got this glare coming through my windshield. It's like I have it on and it looks too dark. I take it off and it gets too bright. You can't win. Doing these vlogs in the car, and my voice just cracked, can sometimes be so difficult. It's just, ay. So anyway, as you all know, I'm a huge fan of home automation. I started building my home automation setup about 6 years ago, which started with this Revolve hub, which ended up being bought by Google, and a door lock. And from there, it's really blossomed and grown into this pretty robust system. It doesn't control a lot, but it's actually pretty robust. And there's some things I've learned along the way that I think might be helpful for anybody that's looking to get into it. And that's kind of what I wanted to go over today. So there's two types of hubs you should consider if you're looking at home automation. The first is Apple's HomeKit, and the second is the Samsung SmartThings hub. Now, there are a lot more hubs out there. These are the ones that I find are the most popular and the most prevalent, and therefore I feel you're going to have the most success buying products that work on these platforms. So let's talk about the two because I use them both and I have some thoughts on pros and cons of each. So Apple's HomeKit, I absolutely love this system. One reason is because I'm heavily immersed in Apple's ecosystem. And if you're someone that's the same, you have Apple TVs, I'm sure, iPads, phones, watches, all that stuff. It works the best. It's the most responsive. Lindsay made a comment the other day, now that we have the Apple HomePod, that she prefers Siri over Alexa working the devices because it's just that more responsive. I never have an issue when I tell her to do something. It doesn't happen immediately. Now with the other setup, I find there's a little bit of a lag. It's not bad by any means. It's just, it's not as responsive as Apple's HomeKit. Now, the downside to Apple's HomeKit is we all know Apple is restrictive over their ecosystem. So not anything is able to be added to this HomeKit. It's very selective. Everything has to be HomeKit compatible. Now, the downside for me was I had already added some products to my home automation before this came out. So I wasn't willing to change all those out just to have them HomeKit compatible. And because of that, the SmartThings hub seems to be my daily driver. It's the device I use the most because I have devices that are added to it that just won't work on HomeKit. I don't have any knocks on HomeKit. I think because it's so open, you can add anything to it. There's some value there. If I had to pick one in a perfect world, I'd pick HomeKit over SmartThings. The other thing that might dictate which platform you use is you deciding what you're going to automate. And I would make that decision before you get into this. Because for me, I'm only automating lights and my door locks. If you're looking to get into a lot of stuff, garage doors, irrigations, thermostats, wall switches, outlets, then maybe SmartThings is the better way to go, because as you buy more things, you're probably more likely that they'll work on SmartThings versus HomeKit. And you won't be restrictive to only finding things that are HomeKit compatible. So let's talk about the devices I use and things to consider. So my door lock. I love the fact that I can unlock the door if my sister-in-law shows up at the house and can't get in, or if the kids are locked out or I'm locked out, I can go to my phone and unlock my front door from my phone. The Yale lock also has a digital display so the kids have their own codes to get in, which unlocks the door. My parents and my in-laws, they have their own codes to get in the door. The dog walker has their own code to get in the door. So it's really, really easy to use, and I'm considering adding a second one to my back door. Then you have the lights. The GE Z-Wave light switches are hands down my favorite switches because you can physically turn them on and off from the switch, which Lindsay prefers to do, or you can turn them on and off from your device. Now, the thing that's beneficial about that, if you were to buy the Philips Hue bulbs and put them in like recessed lighting, if someone turns off the switch, then the bulb doesn't have any power and it doesn't work. So I prefer to change the switch itself to be Z-Wave ready than the bulb. That said, I use Philips Hue bulbs, but I put those in things like lamps, and I use the lighting strips. That seems to work a lot better than putting them in main outlets that are run by physical switches. So that's the extent of how I'm using my home automation. The other thing I've really wanted to do, I bought one, but it wasn't compatible with my setup, is the thermostat. The Ecobee thermostat has got to be the best thing out there for the reason that it has wireless sensors that you can put in different rooms. And the struggle I have with the Nest thermostat is if your main floor says 70 degrees and you go upstairs where it's 65, it only heats the house to that main level. And yes, you can operate it from your phone, but I want the thermostat to be smart enough to know that I want it to 70. Now I'm in my bedroom where it's 65, and you know that I'm in my bedroom, so warm up the house so that room is 70 degrees. And that's what the Ecobee system does. That's why I think it is far superior to the Nest system, because it has all the nice things Nest have with operating it wirelessly, learning your routines and vacation, all that stuff. But it also can know when you're in different rooms and account for the temperature based on where you are in the house. But that's it. The thing I'll leave you with is, if you're interested in getting into home automation, do it. It is outstanding. Don't be afraid of changing these switches or adding things. It's super easy, and I just love it. My kids have access to the Hue light bulbs and the light strips that are in their room, so they can set the mood in their room when they want. But it's for me, life-changing might be aggressive, but it's awesome. I love it. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I switched seats, I'm sure you noticed, trying to spice this up a little bit. So get better, be better. We'll see you next time. See ya!